Okay, we ain't gonna call this part two. This is just another talk. Now, growing up in a predominantly white community was funny in a way. To me, sorry, to me, because of what I'd already been taught. You never see how stupid or ignorant people can be until you're fortunate enough to see it. Now, what I mean is, when we first started going to school in a town called Washington, I was in third grade. My little brother was just starting to go to school. We had just moved there. And the kids were picking on my little brother. Now let me rewind this a little bit. When we got the house that we had moved into, there was no running water, no bathroom, had an outhouse. We carried water from the gas station. I don't know, it wasn't an eighth of a mile, but it wasn't far from it. We'd carry 5-gallon jugs over there and carry water back to the house when I first moved there. When we first got the house, the weeds were so high you couldn't see the house. Me and my dad was over there cutting them weeds down. We sat down on what was the front porch, and we was drinking some water and eating a lunch meat sandwich. My dad says to me, he says, "Look, you're the oldest. You got little brothers and sisters. You got to protect them. And just like these weeds out here that we cutting down," he said, "they got all these ticks and all these bugs that's going to want to bite. And we got to get this yard cleaned up so that your little brother and sister can play out here in the yard and not have to worry about it. And since you the older brother, you got to make sure that everybody knows that they can't mess with your little brothers and sisters. Because you got to keep a clean path for them to walk." Dad didn't know who he was talking to. I was that kid that always kept his mouth shut and his ears open. And I heard what he said, because I had already felt what racism felt like. So now you don't brought family in it. See? The one thing anybody who knows me will tell you, I stand up for mine. I don't care if you are a friend. I'm not asking permission. If I see somebody walk up and disrespect you in front of me, I'll apologize later. Because me and whoever, we got a problem. I ain't the toughest dude in the world. I done got my lit up good. You ain't always the toughest rooster in the yard, but you're still a rooster. And I ain't backing up. Plant my roots and we in here. Now, back to the story. Man, Kind of giving you some insight of who I am. I don't like bullies. I don't like talking about people. I don't like people talking about people. Passing judgment. None of that. And growing up where I grew up is what led me to this thought, this way of thinking. I'll give you some examples. Here's your, let's say, subtle racism, all right? Now, I'm about 300 feet. Not even that. From a piece of equipment. That piece of equipment right there. Right? Now that piece of equipment over there, right there, drove right past my driveway here. And went over to my neighbor's house a couple weeks ago. All right? I see him over there working. I know that the property, he's got that property there, or the machine was parked on that property. So I said to him, once I seen they was done doing their work for the day, I said, hey, what would you charge me to knock some of this brush down over here along this place? Now, he was only going, well, I'll put it like this. To pull out of the driveway, if he would have drove straight across the road and just drove along the side of the road, not even to his house, not even 100 foot, I was willing to pay the man $100. He's driving right by it. All he had to do was drop his bucket and push it. I asked him, I said, push it to the other side of my driveway. I'll be back in a week or so. So he shows up yesterday. I walk over there, wouldn't even talk to me. Now, $100 to drive yourself home isn't worth it because of what you think of the person who is asking you if he can pay you to drive home? Explain that. Explain that. You want to say this is a capitalism, but you don't want to capitalize because of what you think? This is what's funny about the whole thing. He thinks that by him not doing it, that I'm in some kind of situation. And the way that I'm looking at it, I'm trying to, help a neighbor. Kick a couple dollars down for something that he ain't even got to put no work in. So now I know, right? Approach it as such. Those things that I was raised in that community taught me. But this ain't gonna just be about me. This is just gonna be about life, really. But that's the kind of thing that makes you wonder, who's the fool? Was I the fool for going over there and trying to pay a neighbor? I mean, hell, why wouldn't you want the neighborhood to look good? Regardless of who it is. Why wouldn't you want the neighborhood to look good? You get paid $100 to drive 100 foot, and then you just raise your bucket and you go home with $100 in your pocket. Going the same direction you was going. It's just an underbrush. Wasn't asking you to move no trees, dig no holes, no nothing. But that's what you get. Nobody else, well, some folks would. But some other folks would just say, oh, well, he's probably just busy here. They make an excuse. And hell, I'll make an excuse for him too. Probably had family coming in, had to hurry up. I mean, it is 4th of July weekend, I ain't gonna lie. But damn, man, don't look me in the face and say you'll do it, and then when I walk up to pay you to get you to do it, it ain't gonna take you no more time than it would for you to just drive on down to your yard. That's all I was asking. Just knock it down. But I can tell you one thing. Monday when I go back to work, everything that I asked him to push down, it'll be down. You know, it was a mutual favor to me. Ain't that what business is? You supply a service, I pay you in kind. Shouldn't matter past that, right? Business is business. But business ain't business, see? And every time you hear somebody reverse racism, understand this. There's no such thing as reverse that racism. No such thing. None. You have to have power to be a racist. You can be prejudiced. Everybody prejudiced. We're prejudiced of our own so-called race. Another thing that white folks come up with. Real talk. White folk are the only ones who still think we're African American. Dude, just call me black. Just call me black. It's been 500 years. If I come from Africa, my ancestors, on your boats, maybe my ancestors came over here on their boats before your boats. Because that's the truth. Certifiable. Now, here's something ironic for you. I wore this shirt for a reason, really. It says Ireland across the top of it. Now, I did a genealogy search on my dad's side of the family, all right? It goes all the way back, I can't remember the exact year, but a guy named Eli Halsey, straight off the boat island, came over and bought my ancestors. How about that? Ireland, right here, huh? Yeah. Funny. Not funny. Anyway. Every time I hear some kind of panel, people having discussions about how blacks should feel, they're always white. Why is that? It's kind of like not putting the peanut butter next to the jelly in the store. You know what I'm saying? You have to excuse me, I'm new to this. But I'm serious. Now this is my plan. Like I said, past few years, been a little tough. So my wheels ain't real good, my money ain't real long. But it won't be long before we're gonna load up. Me, you, and my dog. And we're gonna go back to where I come from. We're gonna talk about it. But in the meantime, I'm gonna keep getting on here, figuring out a better way to film this without making anybody go into seizures or nothing. But we're gonna talk about it. So I'm in search of quiet elevation. I want you to go along with me. Let's elevate.